All right, I'm just going to check this out, guys. When seemingly nice neighbor is really a psychopath, Mr. Extraordinary, he wasn't very specific. You know, it makes it easier when you pick a certain video for me to pull up. Since I have to pick 2 other winners, you know, I don't want the videos to be like an hour long each, otherwise that's going to take too long. So when a seemingly nice neighbor is really a psychopath, I don't think I've reacted to this. I don't remember, but hopefully I haven't.
This story follows Ivan, a man who lives in the neighborhood of the Arts in a small western New York City. Over the past
Pretty sure I haven't watched this, so we should be good.
10 years, he's moved around a decent amount, from his hometown where he currently resides, to Orlando, Florida, to another city in western New York, and then finally back to his hometown. He had lived in a couple different apartments since moving back to his hometown. None of them anything special, until he finally found what seemed to be the perfect apartment in the attic of an old mansion that was converted into apartments. It was
I don't think I would want to live in the attic of an old mansion. That sounds creepy. Would you guys want to live in a freaking attic? I mean, maybe if it was like remodeled, but I don't know about that.
downtown in the neighborhood of the Arts, an ideal place to live for young, artistic, creative individuals. Ivan moved in with one of his childhood best friends.
Okay,
since it was
good, bro.
a 3-bedroom, and he would need roommates in order to maintain the rent for the place. The first year living there was uneventful, which was ideal for Ivan. As far as neighbors, there were 2 men who were likely a couple that always got into fights so loud that everyone in the building could hear.
Jeez.
And on one occasion, one of them locked the other out of their apartment naked, and given that the mansion was across the street from a school, the cops were called. But as long as they didn't involve Ivan or his roommates, they would try to stay out of any of the drama. After about a year of living there, a young couple, a guy and a girl in their late 20s to early 30s, moved into apartment 2. And they seemed friendly at first, and always said hi when passing in the hall or anytime Ivan would be hanging out on the front porch. They were pretty decent neighbors for the first year to year and a half that they lived there. One day, Ivan came home from work and noticed that someone had put some furniture on the front porch. Ivan immediately assumed,
Hey, thank you, Z-Man. Appreciate it, bro.
It was the couple in apartment 2 since they had an entrance to their apartment right on the porch. As he was getting ready to head into the building, the guy living in apartment 2 came out and introduced himself as John and told Ivan that he wanted to build a community within the apartment building. Ivan, being a people person and caring about his community, was initially all for this idea. For the next few days, Ivan would come down after he got home from work and hang out on the porch since it was springtime and he wanted to enjoy the nice weather. He would sit on the couch on the porch and either read a book or work on his computer, and for the time being, it seemed nice that the community porch was set up. A few days after he met John, Ivan...
Yeah, Vicky, even if it was like a finished attic or something, I don't think I would want to live in an attic of some creepy old mansion house.
found him and another one of his neighbors talking on the porch about something that happened. Someone had stolen another neighbor's motorcycle from the driveway.
Oh,
Everybody ended up having a small tenant meeting where they waited for the cops to show up and tried to make the one neighbor whose motorcycle had been stolen feel better. When the cops showed up,
Z-Man, thanks for the gifted membership, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ivan went up to his apartment and let the police do their jobs. The next day, when Ivan got out of work, he walked into his apartment and his roommate asked him about John, mentioning that he left gifts for every apartment. Everyone got something different. Ivan and his roommate's gift was a shoebox filled with comics, books, toys, and chocolates.
Something's weird here.
The gifts seemed odd, but at the time, Ivan's odd gesture could still just be seen as friendly. But then...
Brandon says, what's worse, an attic or a basement? Ugh. Depends on what the basement or attic look like. Really just depends, honestly. They're both pretty creepy.
Ivan's roommate told him something that started to make him uncomfortable about John. His name wasn't John. It was Sean.
The staircase to hell.
Ivan considered the fact that maybe he misheard his name since they can sound similar, until he remembered that the guy even spelled out his name for Ivan as John when they first talked.
What?
Later on that same night, Ivan's other roommate, who had moved in at the end of the previous year, came home after seeing his daughters and told Ivan that Sean was outside asking for him. He told him that when he was walking up to the building, Sean had come out from the shadows of the side of the building, wearing only a pair of shorts.
Gosh, what a freaking creeper.
To have him come down and help him get something out of his trunk. After everything that was stacking up, Ivan knew there was no way he was going down there to help him. Something felt wrong to him, rightfully so. Ivan woke up the next morning to go to work, and on his way out of the building, he stopped on his porch, and in the middle of his front yard was what Ivan described as a hobo garden. Sean had set up a bunch of garbage around a half-empty refrigerator that had the door.
What the hell's a hobo garden? I've never heard of that. A hobo garden?
Door ripped off. There was broken glass everywhere, and there was a patch of dirt dug up in front of it, as you can see in this picture taken by Ivan. Not only was this an extreme eyesore, but this would also be freakishly weird of somebody to do. Ivan immediately called his landlord and told him that he was not okay with that and that Sean was starting to weird everyone out. They told him they would address it, and so Ivan left it at that and went to work. When he got home from work, some of the garbage had been moved to the side of the road, but no one was around.
This is freaking weird.
It would be better to just go up to his apartment and not get involved anymore, since he was starting to feel like something wasn't right. Ivan was only in his apartment for about 5 minutes at most before he started hearing yelling coming from outside the bedroom window. Not directed towards him, just loud yelling coming from outside. When he looked outside his window, he saw Sean throwing the garbage from the yard into the street. He was freaking out, apparently yelling to himself. Then another one of Ivan's neighbors, Mark, ran up to him and tried to calm him down. One of Ivan's roommates returns home at this time, and he decided to try to help calm him down as well. After a few minutes, things went silent other than the sounds of cars driving down the street.
This dude's crazy.
Ivan's roommate then came inside and started telling him about Sean's freakout outside. Sean had been yelling that he doesn't think he did anything wrong. By this point, it was clear that Sean was an unhinged individual, and so Ivan told his roommate to try not to interact with him if possible. Things seemed to be getting worse and worse.
Probably Voltage, Ray. I like Code Red, but Voltage, Mountain Dew. If I had to pick one, probably Voltage. I seem to drink that more than Code Red.
It was only a few hours later that Ivan started to hear more yelling and even started feeling the building walls shake a little bit. Someone was arguing with someone, and things were clearly getting physical, evident by all the noise and shaking.
Jeez!
Ivan contemplated calling the police, but decided to text his neighbor Mark first, since he lived on the same floor as Sean. Mark didn't text back right away, not until after things seemed to calm down. Mark told Ivan that Sean got into a huge fight with his girlfriend, and Mark once again had tried to calm him down, and in response, Sean tried to fight Mark. Mark called the cops on him, and Sean ended up being taken to the station by the police. Things didn't end there though. In fact, things only got worse. That Friday night, Ivan stayed at his girlfriend's apartment after the couple had a date night. When he woke up that morning at her place, Ivan had a slew of messages and missed phone calls. When he opened up the first message from his roommate, the first thing he saw was a picture of fire trucks outside of their apartment building. Apparently, Sean had burnt down his apartment.
What?
Ivan's roommate said that only Sean's apartment was burnt up, but Ivan still rushed home after...
He freaking burned down the apartment. Freaking crazy. Oh my gosh, he's freaking crazy.
Hearing that so he could figure out what exactly was going on. When he got there, Mark and Ivan's roommate were standing on the porch. Sean claimed that something went wrong with his stove.
I like Baja Blast too.
But when the firefighters checked the building, they found that the vents around the outside of the house looked like they had been stuffed with towels and clothes.
What?
As if you were trying to keep the fumes from escaping. The cops were called, and Sean was taken away once again. But still, that wasn't the end of it. Sean officially got evicted that week, and that following Monday, Mark had gotten word that Sean had been released from holding. All the tenants were a little nervous to hear.
He wasn't put in jail or prison for trying to burn down an apartment? I feel like you should go to jail or prison for doing that. He was let out? Oh, the freaking court system's a joke.
That Tuesday night, someone had showed up to the building and busted a bunch of the windows around the apartment and very clearly tried gaining access to apartment 2. That someone was obviously Sean.
Yeah, that is arson.
Also drawings, swastikas, and writings left on the back door saying
what?
Pig, land is free, kill, and Roy.
Oh
Mark
my
had enough
gosh.
and filed for a restraining order against Sean. Unfortunately, that only aggravated Sean more. Over the night on Wednesday, Sean would make another attack. Ivan woke up once again to a slew of texts. Mark and Ivan's roommate had apparently tried to wake Ivan up overnight.
That's crazy.
He was too deep of a sleep to hear them. Ivan opened up Mark's text since he saw he sent him the most messages, and there were a bunch of pictures attached. The pictures were all of Mark's car, burnt to the ground, completely destroyed. Sean was...
Please tell me this guy was put in prison. He's just going around burning houses, burning people's cars, breaking windows. This guy needs to be put in frickin' prison.
Erratic and dangerous, and now all the tenants were living in fear of what he would do next. The next night, all the tenants in the building had a meeting on the front porch. Mark filled everybody in on all the information that he gathered on Sean. Apparently, Mark had been in contact with Sean's mother, who was trying to smooth things over by being transparent with Mark. He found out that Sean was planning on skipping town. Mark also managed to get footage of Sean walking over to Mark's car overnight and then walking away. There was a case here, but that didn't make anyone...
This Sean guy needs some serious mental help. Oh my God.
...feel better about anything. As all the neighbors talked, everyone shared everything that they could. The woman in apartment 3 told everyone that one night, she walked by her window only to see Sean out there, standing on the side of the building, using a bag of water that he filled with holes and just staring at her while doing so.
Oh.
The woman in apartment 4 had been receiving stalker-esque notes and poems in her mail. Everybody in the building was being terrorized by this guy. The last bit of information given to Mark by Sean's mom was quite disturbing. Sean's mom said that he had been following Ivan, his roommates, Mark, and the woman in apartment 4.
Sean is freaking crazy.
Not only that, but Sean had followed Ivan to his girlfriend's house and watched them through her windows. Ivan knew the man was dangerous and was now stalking him and potentially his girlfriend. For the next week, if Ivan wasn't standing guard on his front porch, he was checking in on his girlfriend's house. Thankfully, a few days later, the tenants finally got news that Sean had been arrested. Shortly after that, Mark and half of the other tenants moved out of that building since they had had enough.
Thank goodness Sean was arrested. I bet he got a couple years at least. Let's hope he was in jail for a couple years.
Ivan and his roommates have stayed living in the building to this day and haven't had any issues since. But hopefully for their sakes, Sean won't be getting out of jail anytime soon.
I wonder how long Sean got in, I don't know if he's staying in jail or being moved to prison. I'm not sure what the difference is on time. How many years do you have to be sentenced to be sent to prison instead of like the county jail? I'm assuming you have to get served a certain amount of years before you're sent to prison over like the county jail. I would think. Oh, jails. So jail's up to 365 days. So up to a year, you stay in jail. If it's anything over a year, you're sent to prison. Wow.